Entertainers have to have allegiance to certain groups, but when they go outside of that thought, all of a sudden we have a bunch of coons.
Yeah.
We got a bunch of traitors. We have a bunch of Uncle Toms. All of a sudden they don't know nothing about, they don't want to be black. It's like, no, how about they had an independent thought?
Yeah. They try to do anything to make you feel like, if you say, like, look, Kanye West is not always right. But when he did tell Charlemagne that we in this country, we have the right to freedom of speech, but we don't have the right to freedom of thought. And the instant you start thinking something, or you speak against a narrative that's always been taught,
you will be labeled.
You will be labeled and you will be ostracized.
Yeah. Hi everybody, welcome back to our channel.
Before we get started, if you like what you're seeing, please like, share, and subscribe. Ice Cube has gotten so much stuff lately with his Twitter problem. People have a problem with Ice Cube talking to Trump, like just talking. Ice Cube's trying to develop a black agenda, which there is none. Definitely not on the Democratic side. There's definitely probably not really one on the Republican side, but at least, so he's getting a lot of ridicule because he decided to talk to both parties. Well, he decided to talk, but you have to talk to the sitting president.
You have to talk to them to get stuff done. Yeah. And so people are like, oh, you're a coon now. Now he's a coon. Here we go. Now he's a coon. So I was looking at this whole thing and I'm thinking, guys, okay, so, and he said this in his tweet back to people who were calling him this or who were have a problem with Ice Cube now, right? And he said that, look, I asked both parties to sit down and talk about what is the black agenda, because the truth is people are getting a little bit more woke now. Black people are getting a little bit more woke. We realize that the sitting president and the one before that and one before that and all of them have never really had a black agenda. Okay, we've always been bypassed. And he's like, I said I want to talk to both of them about this. The Democratic Party said, Biden said that we'll talk about it after the election, which we know means nothing.
He's not going to say anything until
Trump's administration said, let's just talk about it now. We don't know how far it's going. We have no idea, but just think about that. The one time someone tries to speak out, every time someone that's black tries to speak out or tries to think a different way, all of a sudden they're a coon, right? So, what's this, Ice Cube right now, then 50 Cent, Kanye West. I mean, like, we can go on. It's P. Diddy.
Anybody, Candace Owens,
everybody, anybody who's,
twins.
Right.
Anybody that when you're black, you're supposed to be a Democrat.
Yeah, supposed to be a Democrat. You have to be a Democrat. And look, I'm not either one of those parties, right?
No.
I would call myself an independent. I'm more of the independent side. I'd like to be more like Green Party, but I don't agree with either one of those, so I'm not, I have no dog in that fight, right? But I feel like whenever a black person has a different way of thinking, thinks differently, particularly when it comes to voting, it just always seems like they are voter shamed, because of this, because they're black. Like when I was a Democrat, I was only a Democrat for two reasons. Because that's all I ever heard growing up, right? That's one. And the second part is because I was black. And when you're black, you're told that you're supposed to be a Democrat because Republicans hate black people. Right? Now, I don't know if that's true or not. Don't even care. Don't even care at this point, right? But I feel like you have to be able to think, black people, we have got to be able to think differently. It's like you have to do something differently. I feel like we haven't done anything different.
Well, we don't challenge the party
ever.
So the Democrats call us their firewall. They assume they're going to get our vote.
Right.
They do.
Yeah, they do.
I mean, even if like Hillary Clinton, she didn't get near as many black votes as Barack Obama, even on his second, because Barack Obama didn't get as many black votes on his second term as he did his first term, and Hillary Clinton got much less. And Joe Biden is getting much less. The problem is that the party in itself was supposed to be the party of the people, the working class, and they're moving further and further right every 4 years. And both Martin Luther King and Malcolm X both said the centrist is the worst politician there is because they don't move. They'll go right if they think that's what he said, but they don't make
they don't make concrete decisions.
Yeah, they won't on purpose.
Martin Luther King, I think, said it towards the end of his life that he realized that it's the moderate Democrat that is the hardest to get to, because if all black people vote Democrat and they know that, and there's never and all they have to do is make you afraid with a Republican opponent, then they don't have to give you anything. And that is actually true. So when people say to me, when black people say to me, I want reparations, or they make a big deal out of reparations, though you will never get reparations if all they have to do is tell you that Trump is
bad.
It's bad. Because after Trump, there'll be another Republican and they'll do the exact same thing.
Right. And
then you'll always vote out of fear and not for anything. So that's what Ice Cube was trying to say. He was trying to say that that once he's like, we just need to get Trump out of office. He's like, right, on the first day if you vote, that's it.
Then what?
So and the truth is that that is it. Democrats, they don't have anything to give you.
They have nothing.
All they're going to say, and actually Joe Biden said that nothing will fundamentally change.
He's already
said that. He said nothing will fundamentally change. Your health care will not change. The environment really won't change. The wars are going to keep going. ICE is still going to be. Barack Obama deported more people than all the presidents since 1890.
Yeah, and people asked us before, because people have seen
the cages were built by Barack Obama and Joe Biden.
Some of our subscribers, a few of our subscribers have seen a couple of our. We've had a couple of videos where we talk about politics. A few videos where we talk about politics, and we've had people say, like, what do you think? Why are black people like running over to the Republican Party when a Democrat gets put into office? We fall asleep. So that's what happened. So what happened with Barack Obama is that he got elected. Okay, I would say selected. I think I think presidents get selected, not elected. But okay, and he got put into office. And then we all were excited. And when I say we, I mean me and her. We were in line. Like everyone else. I said before, we were in line like everybody else. We were cheering, excited, happy. When he got elected, we cried. It was a whole thing. And he was not changing anything. There was no black agenda. He didn't help black people. And that just kind of what's happening now is that people are waking up to that. And it's a little too late now. But I feel like as long as we wake up to it every year, I think that people will get smarter with this. But because we are so into this, we have this, black people specifically have such a love for the Democratic parties. Like we always say, like this love affair with the Democratic Party. We feel like we can't veer from that, because if we veer from that, the other party's evil, this party's good. And what we learned in 2016 is that the party is not good. Is that the Democratic Party is corrupt like the rest of them. Right. We're not willing to say these things out loud. Like Karen and I, and there's a lot of people that are willing to just say it out loud. It's not a very popular thing to do for black people to sit up here and criticize someone like Barack Obama or the Democratic Party in general. And right now it's Biden, Harris, and all of that. It's not popular to do that, but I feel like I don't want black people keep falling asleep every single year and then feeling like, well, nothing's changed this 4 years. I'm like, even we have Democrats in office. I'm like, yeah, because you guys are not, you're not allowing them. They have to get our vote. They have to come and do things. This is a business. They have to do things to make us want to vote for them. But what's happening is that we're acting like we work for them, and that's not true. They work for us and supposed to put things in place for us to be able to succeed. But as we see, that is not happening. And it's not happening because we continue to do this every single time. We don't want to think different. So when you hear P. Diddy and Ice Cube and 50 Cent, these rappers particularly, saying all this stuff, they're realizing now, and they're older rappers. They're not like these younger ones. They're older. They're realizing now that, there never was a black agenda.
The Democrats have always kind of been that. They pander. They
pander
to
time.
Like Joe Biden goes up in front of Spanish people and he starts playing Spanish music. Like how rude is that? How sort of oddly racist is that? To get up on a podium and because you have nothing to offer Hispanic people, you get up there and take your iPod and play Hispanic music.
That's
you know what I mean? That's rude. You know what I mean? It's rude.
Yeah.
You think like they're stupid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or to ask Condoleezza Rice. Kamala Harris to be your VP. He's I'm going to pick a black woman. Why? Because he wants black votes. He wants black women to vote for him, which we're going to vote for him anyway. You know what I mean?
Democratic Party's getting the black vote.
Like Hillary Clinton, when she's on the Breakfast Club talking about she puts hot sauce in her bag.
Pander.
You know what I mean? They pander because they have nothing to give you. You see what I'm saying? All they have to do is to give you identity politics. Yeah. And identity politics is going to ruin black people, because black people in office are mostly, for me, to me, they don't do anything. They use black people to herd in black people. Yeah. But then they use those black politicians to side with their agenda. Right.
And then they
nothing ever really goes on. Barack Obama did much more for rich white people than he did for anybody of color. Mm-hmm. When I say of color, I mean more than black people.
That's an unfortunate fact. Like when you say that, because we've said this before, and people are like, "Oh, that's not true. It's not true." But we've had those same people come back and go, "That is true." Like what do we always say, Kara? Do research. Mm-hmm. Like it's there for you to see, but a lot of people don't want to look at it. I don't think people want to actually know the truth. Mm-hmm. I think that knowing the truth of what's happening is really disturbing, because the people that are paying for these presidents, those are the people running the show. Yeah. Because I know people have asked before, like, why do you think Trump even got elected? The reason why Trump got elected is because people were tired of these career politicians. Mm-hmm. They wanted somebody fresh and new and different. And maybe this guy would be fresh and new and different because he kind of is. And he kind of called out everybody. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because of his attitude, his ego. Like, everyone always wants to oh, he's so likable. The president's so likable. Even Republicans with Trump, he's so likable. I don't care about liking the president. I want to know what they're getting done. The cabinet, all of them, not just the president, right? But the people that they, hire to put in positions. That's important too.
I think the younger generation of black people, like they're a little bit more woke, I think, than even older.
They are. People. Yeah.
I think the landscape of the. I think that
you mean like the millennials? Millennials are they even younger than that? Or really millennials, but some younger.
Even some of our people, our age, are starting to wake up. That if you keep voting out of fear and you're not voting for anything, you're basically voting for nothing. Yeah, you know what I mean. So, for Michelle Obama to say, vote like your life depends on it, when her husband didn't do anything the entire time. They blame voters for not voting, but the reason why people don't, 100 million people, I think, in America don't vote. I think it's like 90 million. Don't vote. And the reason why is not because they're privileged or because they're white or anything. It's because no president in the last 40 or 50 years has done anything for them. So what is the point of them getting up and walking out there casting a vote if your life still looks the same no matter who's in office? You know what I mean?
There's no point.
You know what I mean? Yeah. You have to. I think that's what Ice Cube was trying to say. He was like, what? Well, that was what he said.
That's what he said.
He said, what next? What are you offering us in the first 100 days? Mm-hmm. What can you offer us? Don't try to scare us anymore about other stuff. Yeah. Tell us what you're going to give us. Mm-hmm. You can't keep saying Trump is scary, because after Trump there'll be another Republican, and that is the exact same thing they'll be using.
When Barack Obama left office, though, like when he was gone, his term was up, his second term. He didn't do as well. Obviously, people were weird with that second term. But when he left office, the idea of when a president their term is up, that the preceding president should be also that same party. So that means that party did well, right? So the embarrassing part with Barack Obama is that even when he speaks of this, you can see that he's embarrassed, because we all know.
Well, Michelle said it on her podcast.
Yeah, her podcast.
Her podcast is that she's so mad because people didn't come out for Hillary.
But it's like, but in 2016, the corruption of the Democratic Party got exposed by Julian Assange and the WikiLeaks. Mm-hmm. And we were finally able to the veil was lifted. And now we have a whole website to see exactly what was going on. Right. And that is information that we're allowed to see. We should be allowed to see what our politicians are doing, right? I don't care if it's local all the way to, the presidency. It doesn't matter. We should be able to see that. And the fact that we were able to see the corruption going on within the Democratic Party with even Democrats. They cheated Bernie Sanders and many other people, and a lot of people got fired because of this scandal, right? And so the Democratic Party was not like the cool party anymore. Now all of a sudden we're singing, there was a lot of Democrats that turned over their blue card and were like, no more. Most of them went to independents.
Yeah, independents there are more independents than there are either both parties put together. Yeah. So they're more, that's who they're trying to talk to. Mm-hmm. They're mostly trying to speak to independents because independents is where the votes are. Those are people who vote, but they vote on what they're getting, not based on party
And if they
loyalty.
don't see they're getting anything, they just...
not based on party loyalty.
Right.
In my opinion, it doesn't really matter who wins because Trump isn't going to give you health care. Yeah. He's not going to end the wars.
Taxes are what they are.
He thinks climate change is a hoax. But if you go to the other side, Joe Biden.
Same.
Barack Obama opened the Arctic to drilling. Yeah. So, you know what I mean? All of them take money from fossil fuel companies. So there's your environment. Yeah. Gone. Flint, Michigan still doesn't have... They have water, but 200 other cities in our country are living like Flint, Michigan. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So it's just like the police brutality is bad on both sides.
Native Americans still with the police. Native Americans still in poverty. Black people still dying. Police is still not reformed.
40% of black businesses have gone down. Yeah, and the Democrats have no answer.
They have no answer to it. Instead of just admitting they don't have any agenda, they do these outlandish things so you don't have to think about it, and we don't. Most of us just like, oh my God, there's a voting party going on with, Beyonce will be here, some great entertainer. So we don't even think about who we're voting for.
We vote personality in this country. Yes, we do. Now, we used to vote for actual, what is it?
Policies,
actual policies. Now we vote based on personality. Yeah.
I used to vote personality. Yeah. Like when I didn't understand politics, I used to just vote personality was, I agree with you on this because I didn't look, I was always just like, like cool guy, you know what I mean? Like cool guy. Okay. Let's do this. Right. But now it's different. Now I've made a conscious decision to understand what the laws are, understand what the policies are, foreign and domestic, and understand what each candidate from all parties, Green Party, Independent, Republican, and Libertarian. So I don't just look at this ridiculous two-party system we have. Either you have to be a Republican or a Democrat. That is ridiculous.
And the truth is that the Democratic Party does need to be pushed because they're going too far right. Yeah. And the thing is, now we have two right-wing parties. We have Republican and Republican Light. Yeah. And the only reason they're Republican light is because they agree with gay marriage and abortion. Yeah. Otherwise, they're just Republicans. Yeah. You know what I mean?
A couple of their social issues are, advanced. Right. Or I was to say progressive, if you say. So we're like, I would say we're progressive. We're progressive people. And that means that there has to be some real change. Right. If there's not real change,
people have lost like their health care because of the pandemic because they haven't been able to go to work. And so they lost their jobs with their health care. You know what I mean? So clearly Trump had no answer to that. Yeah. Now Biden has none.
He has no answer to it.
He's going to keep Obamacare when we should have universal health care at this point. And during the pandemic, the Democratic nominee is not giving you health care.
Every other advanced country.
We should be paying taxes and everyone should have health care in America. All major countries have health care.
And I really wish they stop talking about like, the progressives are wanting this free health care.
It's not free. You have to pay for it.
Free health care, free school. Like I wish people would quit saying that. Who said that? Cardi B. I'm like, would you stop? It's not free. It's your taxes pay for it as it should.
Just like it pays for the libraries, pays for the police department,
all of that,
the fire department,
all of it,
Social Security. That's all
free.
Socialism. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's not free, but it does guarantee you health care, so you don't have to pay deductibles and all of that. You get your medication. Yeah. If you have a really advanced. Like you have diabetes, but you got laid off, you can still go get taken care of. Yeah, and you won't have to worry about that. Most people are at jobs right now for their health care. Yeah. They hate the jobs that they're at,
but their health care
because they have underlying problems. Yeah. They have to have health care, so they're at jobs they don't like. Yeah, because they have to be able to keep that health care. Some people are in debt because of not being able to pay for hospital bills.
Yeah, I had a subscriber say so. You're because the voter shaming stuff that always happens, and someone said, here's a common one. Our ancestors died for your right to vote. Right. Our ancestors died for your right to vote. And we got that right. Right. What our ancestors, I'm assuming these are smart. Our ancestors were smart people. right? They were very smart people. I'm going to go ahead and correctly assume that they didn't want that right to include corruption and not helping out your own people. So I feel like when people say that, it's such a cop-out. I'm like, no, they fought for your right to vote, so you have a right to vote. Right. But you also have a responsibility not to vote for corruption. Right. And not to vote against your own interest. Right. Which is what we do as Black people, Hispanic people. A lot of times we do that. Hispanic people are kind of, they woke up.
And also Kamala Harris hasn't apologized for keeping Black men in prison
for longer than
prison labor for the state of California. She still hasn't apologized for that, and she's not going to. She's going to sit there and say, "Oh, it was my job."
These are low-level, non-violent offenders, right? That, to my opinion, to the overcrowding of prisons and also the private prison business, which is what it is. Business is just exploding, and because they're trying to keep this free labor in there by keeping these men in there that are, again, non-violent, low-level crimes. Most of them are rehabilitated and really should be out. It's trying a second chance at life. They should not be 20 years for someone with a weed charge. Yeah. That's ridiculous. It shouldn't happen. But guess what? She kept them in there a little longer
to fight forest fires.
Free labor, pay them $1.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing
that the only two people we have left out of all these people who ran as Joe Biden and Donald Trump. Again, I felt the same way when it was Trump and Hillary Clinton. Like, really?
What the hell?
Is this where we've come? Where these are when this is what we have to look forward to? These two people. You know what I mean? It's just...
This is what we came up with as America. Other countries are looking at us like...
what's wrong with America?
This is what y'all came up with? Yes, this is what we came up with. You know why? Because we tradition vote. That's what we do. We tradition vote. So if you're traditionally, your family always did it. I did it. I'm just done with it. But I did it. You traditionally always vote Democrat, or you traditionally always vote Republican, and one's racist, one's not, and then everyone's like, oh, why is all these Black people going over to the Republican Party? Because they realize the Democratic Party is corrupt too. They're trying to do something different. I'm sorry for y'all. It may not be that different. But
mention the immediate conversation a Black person has with a Republican becomes sellout,
coon.
And I think that's dangerous. I think it's dangerous for our race to do that, because it makes us look simple-minded.
It does.
Like we don't have any opinions at all. Like we let them make all of our opinions for us. It's very dangerous. It cringes me when I'm on, like, even on Facebook, and all people want to do is talk bad about Trump's skin and his hair, and I'm just thinking to myself, you guys are all over 40. Like, really?
I'm so embarrassed.
Don't you guys want to talk about policies?
I just think that for Black people, like, it's time for us to stop with this whole, oh, you're a coon because you hurt someone out. God, that is such limited thinking.
I mean, Ice Cube. You're ready to call Ice Cube. I mean,
as soon as someone talks to Trump, he's not even probably voting for Trump.
Ice Cube. But he's a coon because him. That doesn't even make any real sense at all. That's like George Carlin said in his political comedy. He said, he's like, the American government is not interested in people with critical thinking
at all.
They're not. They want people who are obedient and do everything and believe everything that they're told and vote that way. Yeah. They're not interested in people who want to know policies. Yeah. And they're not interested in people who are beyond the personality. They want to keep you focused on the race and the fight. They don't want you really thinking about what these people are actually doing. At some point, it never dawned on America these people could be working together.
Yeah. Right.
He said it never dawns on people because he didn't vote.
That was the shock when people were like how like Ellen DeGeneres, for instance, people were so like shocked when they saw her at that baseball game with President Bush when she was like so like she's a gay woman. She's definitely
his policies would have kept her. It would have kept from her never getting married ever.
And she was chumming it up with them. You guys, it is a party that we're not
it's like George Carlin said, it's a big club and you aren't a part of it.
Right.
The politicians are just here to make it look like we have democracy. Yeah. But the real people, the real owners of this country, you don't see.
You don't see them. We won't see them.
And you're not going to see them. Yeah. They're the ones who line the pockets of all these politicians. Yeah. And in order for you to make a well thought out vote. You have to understand what it is you really need in your life, and then the party that you want to win, you have to not just vote for them. You have to pull them to your side, which means sometimes you may not have to vote.
And that's like someone would call that a protest. You know what I mean? Like a protest against the voting thing. But I don't like the idea of voter shaming. I don't like when people say, oh, well, someone died for this. Well, we know that. They died for your right, not for... Okay. And I also don't like when people say, oh, you know what? If you're not voting, then I don't want to hear you say anything. What? I am sitting here thinking... Well, if you do vote for a corrupt politician, then I don't want to hear anything.
Right. You have no reason to complain because you're playing in the charade.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you think that the Democratic Party, and they haven't done anything for you, and they still aren't doing anything for you, and yet you still want to play this game that they're playing with you, then if Trump wins again and you're a Democrat, you have nothing to be upset about. If you are a Republican and Biden wins, you have nothing to be upset about because they're both absurd.
Yeah.
And if you keep playing this game, like Ice Cube said, you keep playing with these people and letting them not do anything for you, and then you go out and sit in 4 hours in a line and cast your vote.
You want a sticker.
Just so you can go on Facebook, I voted. And when people tell you, this is one thing, I don't tell people to vote because it's personal. It's like religion.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Okay, people have a choice. They have choices there. Unfortunately, we're in a country where they've only really propped up two, which is Democrat and Republican, and I don't agree with either one of them. And they haven't done anything for Black people. They are not going to really do anything for Black people because we're not asking for anything. We never do. No. We never, as Black people, we never ever push any of these parties to be different, to do something different. We just keep doing the same thing, and we get mad every 2-4 years. We get upset because nothing's changed and it's the same story. If you watch old 70s TV shows, All in the Family, Jeffersons, I don't care what it is, they're very political shows. They're talking like as if it's 2020. They are saying the same problems are happening.
Right.
That was decades ago. And I feel like it's all because we won't change. And so they have no reason to. They have zero reason to do anything for Black people.
Once you cast your vote, you give up your power.
You do.
Because once you vote, once you vote out of fear and you vote for the other person,
it's over.
You can't pull anyone anywhere. Yeah. Once they've gotten your vote, that's it. You know what I mean? So if you're unhappy with the way the Democratic Party is running, but then you go and vote for their nonsense, then why do they ever have to change for you?
They don't.
Why do they ever have to give you health care? Why do they ever have to give you better housing? Why do they ever have to do anything but jobs programs?
Entertainers have to have allegiance to certain groups, and when you don't have allegiance to certain groups, you get called a coon, which is what we're seeing. So, primarily rappers are going to be Democrats. They usually push that. It's the same thing going for years. They push that, and we're all supposed to go and rock the vote, right? And they push that. But when they go outside of that thought, all of a sudden we have a bunch of coons. Yeah. We got a bunch of traitors. We have a bunch of Uncle Toms. All of a sudden they don't know nothing about, they don't want to be Black. They're against us. You know what I mean? It's like, no, how about they had an independent thought? Yeah. They thought for themselves and thought, hey,
even Susan Sarandon, she's white. Yeah, she's a rich white lady. And then Jamie Lee Curtis and all call them her white privilege.
Turned on her.
It's like, see what happens whenever people, they have something for it. If you're Black, you're a coon. If you're white, you're white privilege. Yeah. They try to do anything to make you feel like, if you say, look, Kanye West is not always right. But when he did tell Charlemagne that we in this country, we have the right to freedom of speech, but we don't have the right to freedom of thought. And the instant you start thinking something, or you speak against a narrative that's always been taught,
you will be labeled.
You will be labeled and you will be ostracized. Yeah. And that is true.
That's what happens.
The instant even us, we were called political whores by a guy because he didn't like what we were saying.
Well, because our thought, we got called that because we are progressive thinkers.
Right.
So we're progressive, we will be progressive voters. So we don't believe in just doing the same old. The truth is that these parties are very corrupt. And if we were to sit up here and be like, oh, rock the vote, go vote for the Democrat Party, I'm telling you to vote. If I'm telling you to vote for Democrat or Republicans, I'm telling you to vote for corruption. That's blind.
Yeah.
We've done enough research to understand that that's not exactly the right way to go. Right. So I can't in good conscience sit there and
Or vote for one of these third parties. It's just like these parties will never ever give them a platform. I mean, neither the Democrats or Republicans want to hear the Libertarian Party, or they don't want to hear the Green Party. You know what I mean? And now they've got a People's Party that's being started by Nick Brana, and it's like it's. You know, we need another party. You're gonna have to. Even Angela Davis, she voted for Hillary Clinton last time. This time she was just like, you know what, we need a third party. Yeah. You know, and that's a revolutionary. Yeah. You know, that's someone that most Black people definitely admire.
Angela Davis
took, you know, she went to jail. Yeah. You know, so it's just like when you hear stuff like that, you think at some point that when are you going to get off the Democratic Republican train? Yeah. And when are you just going to say, you know what, my life isn't better either way.
It never changed.
And what are we going to do?
It never changed. My mother's life was the same. My grandmother's life was the same. And now this is generations. You know, like nothing is really has changed. And what does that say to you? Like, why would you think that? You know, Malcolm X has been warned that. He warned of this for years that getting too involved in the just the what's it called, the voting, the presidency, you're probably going to be lost in there, because who's going to be hoisted up is who the media wants you to see. Yeah. And he was right.
I mean, Stokely Carmichael did not believe in voting either, but he helped with SNCC. He helped Black people get the right to vote, because he wanted us to have every opportunity that Black people had. Right. But he said the parties, though, are complete trash. Yeah. He's just like, they are not doing anything for us. And that was back in the 60s.
Yeah. The Black Panther Party did a lot. Malcolm X did a lot. And the one thing they did was
Fred Hampton did a lot.
They gave us knowledge. They gave us a lot of knowledge that we want to wear their t-shirts. We want to wear the big X. We want to walk around being like, you know, loving the Black Panther. Did you know what they stand for? Okay. They didn't stand for what's going on right now. They were against both of these parties.
Stokely Carmichael and a lot of the Black Panthers were big critics of Jesse Jackson, because they felt like all he did was herd Black people into the Democratic Party and to vote against their interests. That they really had nothing for Black people.
And we went further and further away.
Again, the Republicans are the ones who freed the slaves. So it's like, at some point, you're going to have to start thinking beyond what celebrities tell you to vote for and what the mass media tells out, because MSNBC and CNN and Fox News, they're complete party loyalty parties, and they are going to tell you, if you go to CNN, you're only going to hear things about Joe Biden. And if you go to MSNBC, you're only going to hear good things about Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. If you go to Fox News, you're only going to hear good things about Trump. You're never going to hear bad things. That means that it's fixed information.
We don't have any kind of critical thinking anymore. And I said this before a long time ago, that I wonder how it would be if you weren't allowed to vote. Yeah. If you didn't know 3 things, foreign and domestic, about every candidate up there. I wonder what that would look like. I think a lot of people would be turned away if you don't. But if you have to know,
You know? But that's just your reason, because what George Carlin said, they don't want critical thinking people voting. They want people who are sheep, and they're herded in by personality and loyalty to a party.
One thing's for sure is that just because a Black person decides to think differently does not make them a coon. Right. And we need to stop doing that to each other. It's embarrassing. Right. It is. I can't believe it. So I don't know, you guys. Tell us what you guys think about that. What you guys think about all of this? If you guys feel like you need to be more informed, if you just think there's no Black agenda, like, because I'm telling you there's not. Black agenda. How do you feel about the whole Ice Cube thing? Just let us know what you think. Put a comment below. If you guys have any topic ideas, please go ahead and email us. I will put the email here. Thank you to all our new subscribers. We saw we had a little bit of a pickup of subscribers. So if you didn't see our intro video, we do upload every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday at 11 a.m. So thank you guys. Everybody have a really good day. Bye.